You need ash, oil, and pen and paper. If you don't have ash, maybe grab some dirt from a potted plant. That will do as well. Today we are going to consider and contemplate and do a ritual around the wilderness. One of the facets to ritual is that it becomes a space to receive and to return to your life. Is this set apart space that allows you to kind of come face to face with the raw material of your holy life. And it's very similar to, I think, the role of the wilderness. So often the wilderness is a place where everything is stripped down, right? We are kind of in this place of getting down to the bare essentials of who we are and what we're doing on this planet. So it becomes a place of questions that we begin to ask, like, what is the meaning of my life? Or where and with whom do I place my trust in? Why am I here? I mean, I think the wilderness, as well as the ritual space, allows us to really engage more meaningfully the role of our body, heart, and soul, and the meaning of them. That's part of I think this season for me. I observe Lent, which is that kind of stripping down of the things that distract or the things that keep us from really asking the hard questions, and I think becoming aware of, like, what does it mean to be fully alive? What does it mean to be human? What does it mean to eventually to know that we will eventually die and that we will return to the earth? And I think those questions really invite us to confront what we are doing with our life, and how do we want to live, and what keeps us from living more fully. So I want to give us some time, and this is where your pen and paper will be helpful. I want to give you a few moments to consider, is this a season for you where you're, as you enter the wilderness, is it by choice, or is it circumstantial, where you didn't have a choice, but you're kind of in this season where there is maybe a great deal of grief from different things that are happening in your life, or maybe you're being prompted to go into the wilderness so that you can disrobe of the things that keep you from what you most long for. So the question that I have is, as you are entering the wilderness, or as you imagine yourself entering the wilderness, what is it that you're needing to disrobe of or to shed? And this question isn't meant to be a way of getting you to feel like the things that I feel guilty of, the things that I should like shed or let go of. It's not about guilt. It's not about the shoulds or shouldn'ts, but more so it's about what keeps you from being connected to the valve of being fully alive. And that being fully alive is being deeply connected to your longings, to what you're passionate about. And so what is it? What are the things that are shrouding you and keeping you from being connected to that valve? And then if it's not a choice to be in the wilderness right now, if you find yourself in this more barren landscape, not by choice, then where is it that you need to, where do you need to grieve? What are the places that are asking for your tears, to anoint the ground around you as you are in a place that is difficult and barren? The two might actually go together. So take a few moments. I'm just gonna play the piano while you write down, like, what is it that you're needing to shed, to needing to let go of, that keeps you from being connected to your longings, your desires, essentially being fully alive, and/or what is the grief that you're having to face in this season. So please take time to write, and then we'll continue from there. Don't know how the sound transferred to you, but hopefully you're able to hear it without too much static. Haven't played in a while, and that's part of me reconnecting to the valve of what it means to be fully alive. And so I'm a little bit rusty, but I think that's part of my task as I enter the wilderness, is to return to some of those places that have died off for a season. I want to take some time to have you, and part of this whole virtual reality is that we got to find ways to be in communion with one another. And so I'm curious if you feel comfortable for you to put in the comment section, like, what are you being stripped of? Like, what do you need to let go of that keeps you from in the raw material of your life, and or where you're being invited into to grieve over what this season of wilderness has been like for you. So as you're doing that, I'm going to take some black material, and in the Jewish culture in particular, ripping black cloth is a sign of lament. And so I think the reality is, as we think about what we need to shed, there is grief in the shedding. There's a grief of letting go of the things that keep us from being connected to our longing. Those things serve a purpose, right? It's not random that we have things that we shroud ourselves. It's not random. There's good reasons for why we've needed to. And so we grieve of what it means to be to be stripped down and to be in this place of facing our life, and whether it's by choice or not. And so I invite you all to speak via the comment section the things that you are letting go of, or the grief that you're stepping into. And I'll begin. For me, it is shedding this very compelling pull to appease those who I do not want to disappoint. One, because I don't really want to contend with their disappointment if I disappoint them. And so I am shedding the need to appease and facing the potential of disappointment. Shedding the need to keep others okay, so I might be okay too. I'm shedding unrealistic expectations of myself and others. Yes. And we tear as a way of lamenting over the wilderness that we face when we have to shed and let go of certain things. I'm shedding the need to feel I must have perfect health to exist. When I come to Christ means as I come as I am despite my pain. Thank you for those sharing. We are in contending with what it means to be in the wilderness, both metaphorically and literally. And that usually means we have to contend and face the raw material of our life and where we have been disconnected or what we've put on in order to keep us from our deepest longings, connected to who we're meant to be. I see I'm shedding all the things I thought I was supposed to be. And the tearing of the cloth is a sign of lament. And anytime we're giving up things that have worked for us or that have helped us stay afloat, there is an emptiness, there is a grief. I'm also facing that I'm losing my mom as I have known her. And we join you in that grief. Thank you for those who shared, and those who haven't, no worries. We are with you in a sort of way by you being on here. We join you in the lament and the courage to face your life. I want you to take the ash or whatever you have, and the places that you're either needing to grieve because you're in the wilderness, not by choice, or the places that you're needing to shed or to let go of. I want you to mark where they might be symbolized on your body. So maybe it's you put ash on your heart because of the grief, or you put ash in your eyes because you're having to see things that maybe you would rather not see, but in order to see, you're going to be brought into maybe new life and more freedom. Think about like where on your body do you need to mark as a symbol of what is returning to the earth, what needs to return to the earth because it's no longer available for you, or it's no longer useful. It no longer provides what it used to provide, but actually keeps you small or disconnected. So take your ash. For me, it is around my mouth because appeasing requires words. And those words are never genuine, really. So I mark my mouth because I want my movement towards appeasing, so I don't have to face people's disappointment, to fall to the ground, to return to the earth. And I mark my eyes. Because I want them to see what my appeasing has covered up. So doing these markings, obviously, it makes us look different. If you saw people with ashes on their forehead, they stand out. And I think there's something about taking a risk and doing the unusual that helps us really take in like what we're claiming, what we're stating right now. So if you feel a little awkward, let that be. It requires us doing the unusual, I think, in order to really take bigger risks. So mark yourself, please, however you see fit. Clarissa Pinkola Estes says, go out in the woods, or in other words, the wilderness. If you don't go out in the woods, nothing will ever happen, and your life will never begin. And then she later on says, I hope you will go out and let stories that is life happen to you, and that you will work with these stories from your life, not someone else's life. Water them with your blood and tears and your laughter till they bloom, till you yourself burst into bloom. That is the work, the only work. And so we mark with ash because we are saying like the things that keep us from our deepest longings, from what it means to be fully alive. We're marking them with ash because we're saying, and we're inviting those places to fall to the earth, to turn into dust. And then that's the very ground that something new gets to come forth. And so I want you to take your oil, and we are going to anoint that ground. We're going to anoint the places that have been stripped down. And we are going to open our hand and our heart to see like what will burst into bloom. And it might not be tomorrow, it might not be even a few months, but there is a hope that new life will spring forth. We anoint and we bless the ground that has received the things that we need to let go of, or the tears that need to fall, with the intent and with the hope that new life will burst into bloom as we are faithful to our lives and our stories. So I mark my mouth with anticipation of what new words will come. And I mark my eyes with new sight that will come. I'll read you the quote one more time from Clarissa Pinkola Estes, and then we'll end our time today. And she says, I hope you will go out, and I will insert, go out into the wilderness and let stories, that is life, happen to you. And that you will work with these stories from your life, not someone else's life. Water them with your blood and tears and your laughter till they bloom, till you yourself burst into bloom. That is the work, the only work. And my hope for you is that you will be reminded of the things that you're needing to let go of, whether it's things that keep you from your life and being fully alive, or it's the tears that need to fall as you're in a season that feels barren or empty. And that you'll be reminded that there's something about the letting go that allows for something new to burst into bloom. So peace to you as you go into your weekend, and I hope you are well. Take care. Thanks for being here.